Tillamook makes ice cream sandwiches.
Okay.
Our lawyer informed us of this.
And that's part of his job. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that he
Thank
did that.
you, Andrew.
Yeah. So we go to Charlie's football game. Okay?
Okay.
We get done with Charlie's football game. Now, we've been out in the sun. This is on Sunday.
Okay.
We've been out in the sun this entire time. We're all sweaty and nasty.
Uh-huh.
We want to go home. And I want to stop. We're very close to a Kroger. They always have Blue Bunny ice cream sandwiches. And I think we've established before, those are my favorite ice cream sandwiches
they are.
currently.
Yeah.
So I want to go in there. And I need to get some other things like food that we need to eat. But I'm just going to be in there for like maybe 5 minutes.
Wait, is this another Kroger story of the week?
This is it's another Kroger story. But most of it doesn't take place in Kroger's. Kroger's is just incidental to the story.
Okay. Then I won't use Dave.
Now, I've talked to you about this before. My trip, when I know I'm getting ice cream, I get it the very last thing that I get.
I've been in the store with you, and you were adamant. You are militarist.
And then it's the first thing that makes it into the house.
You
it
are
goes
penultimate
to the freezer.
about that.
I leave my kids wandering in the street while I bring the ice cream in and put it in the freezer. Okay? That's how I roll.
Yeah. Honest to God, people, Mike and I were at the grocery store one time.
Yes.
We went to the Crowbar together, and then I had to grab a couple things. Mike's like, well, I've got to grab a couple things too. Mike was standing there about to put his hand in the cooler to get the ice cream sandwich, and I said, oh, hold on, I need to get a gallon of milk. Oh, for sake. How long am I got to stand here? Snag. I was like, calm down,
I take
woman.
ice cream very seriously.
Yeah.
So I get it. The last thing, I go up to the thing. Now I'm waiting in line because the person next to me is having trouble dealing with the little conveyor of stuff.
And now your ice cream is melting.
They're waiting until the person in front of them has their stuff completely dealt with before they begin placing their items on the conveyor.
Okay.
That's selfish. I hate that. Anyway, I get my stuff. Now I'm annoyed because my original speedy exit has been delayed somewhat.
Your ice cream is turning into soup.
So I run out to the car. I put them in there, and I say, before I get what took you so long? I said, I had to get some things that were necessary, and there's ice cream back there, ice cream sandwiches. So we got to go. We get in the car. We get right on 129 and come to a stop. There is a wreck.
Mm-hmm. Oh, boy.
Okay.
Great.
So now I am, and I'll admit it, I'm thinking about my ice cream sandwiches. How long do I have before they're no longer ice cream sandwiches and they're just vanilla soup with cookie stuff floating in them?
Mm-hmm.
So I look I always have Google Maps going, 15 minutes.
Even if you're going home?
Because it tells you what time you're going to get there. It looks at traffic and everything. You don't do that?
You should know how long it's going to take to get home.
No, it takes normally 3 minutes from that point, but I knew it was going to take 20 minutes.
Uh-huh.
Because that's what Google Maps said. You don't use it for traffic? Speed traps, all that stuff?
No, not when I'm going somewhere that I know where I'm going.
Okay, boomer. Anyway, it helped me get, I had to go home a whole different route, but that's at the end of the story.
Okay,
so we're waiting.
Okay.
We're in the traffic, and I said that's going to be about 15, 20 minutes. In the car. And then Beth says, well, let's
You sound like an 84 Ford Escort that needs an oil change.
That's the kids in the back saying. Uh-huh. And then Beth says, well, let's open up the ice cream sandwiches. I go, ho. No.
Oh, she thinks that they're for everybody.
She thinks they're for everybody. B, she's about to open them and expose them to more heat. And I say, I don't know that we need to open up the ice cream sandwiches just yet. And she says, well, I'm hungry. I want, and we're all dehydrated.
Uh-huh.
And I said, actually, sugar is going to make you more dehydrated.
Yes.
You shouldn't be putting ice cream sandwich. At which point I get the stare, and she says, the kids need something to eat.
Uh-huh.
I said, there's buns. There's buns in there.
Hamburger
because
buns.
Because I was going to make hamburgers and hot dogs. Have them eat the buns. Don't eat my ice cream sandwiches. And then Charlie from the back says, really? And Andrew is like, I'm getting the ice cream sandwiches. So he starts reaching into the thing, and Bess is like, thank you. So they open up the box of ice cream sandwiches. And I said, I become passive aggressive. And I'm like, okay, I guess we're just going to let the ice cream sandwiches melt. That's fine. I spent a lot of money. Those are my ice cream sandwiches. If any one of you takes a bite and starts talking about how much these suck, you're walking home. I'm not putting up with that.
Yeah.
Don't, because they've done that before with the Blue Bunny. Oh, these are terrible. Oh, these are awful.
Right.
And just eat them right in front of me. And Bess is like, you need to calm down.
Which
Okay,
always works.
So now,
That always works when you tell the wife that.
so now I'm steaming. But I've gotten to the edge of an argument. At this point, it's been mostly good natured, but I'm skirting the edge of an argument here. So I stand down. Okay, now I'm waiting and I'm looking up the road, and Andrew keeps saying, "Just pull in the grass." He wants me to go through the median and turn around on 129. And I'm saying, just hold on, bud. I don't want to do that just yet. And I'm looking up to see what's going on. It looks like it's a bad wreck.
Right.
Okay. We're there for another 3 or 4 minutes. I'm thinking the ice cream's melting. It's melting.
But officer, my ice cream sandwiches are melting.
And I'm thinking now they've opened the package. So there's more space that is available for the air, the warm air, to hit the sandwiches. They're going to be melting faster.
Right.
And I'm thinking of what I remember from heat transfer in school. By the way, I studied this.
I know you're
Convective
an engineer.
heating and cooling.
Yes.
I'm like, it's not exactly like 2 or 3 times faster, but they are melting at a higher rate. This is all going through my head, but I'm not saying any of it because I don't want to get into a fight. I'm just looking at the road. I'm waiting to see what's going to happen. I see a tow truck come.
Oh, dear Lord.
And go sideways. I'm like, they haven't even started moving this yet. So off into the grass I go. Andrew starts screaming from the back, oh my God, what's he doing? I was like, I don't need you screaming at me while I'm about to pull into traffic the wrong way for a few seconds before we get going the other way. I use Google Maps to get home. We're driving. It's maybe a 5-minute journey at that point. So I have a moment. I'm getting home. We've been in the car now in the hot sun for about 10 to 12 minutes. Okay. And I can't help myself. We're maybe 2 minutes from the house. And I say to Bess, you didn't really have to rip those ice cream sandwiches open.
Right.
And she said, well, you said we were going to be in the car for 10 to 15 minutes. Had I known that you were going to turn around and do this, then I wouldn't have opened them. And I said, well, we're going to end up having been in the car for 15 minutes because it took 5 minutes. We waited 10. That's 15 minutes. We're in the car the same amount of time that you thought we were going to be in the car. So that argument doesn't really hold up. And now I can't stop myself. And, Your Honor, when the only thing I was saying is that when you open the ice cream sandwiches, you expose more of you get more surface area available to the heat.
Yes.
And then it begins to melt them more. And she says to
Can
me,
I add one thing? When you take one ice cream sandwich out, the friction, when it rubs against another one, that right there.
You can start a
You
fire.
haven't even calculated friction.
No, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then, there's a moment of silence, and she says, so you'd rather me and the kids they're shaky. They just played a football game. They're shaky. And I let that one sit for 20 or 30 seconds. And then I said, I'd rather you guys be shaky than me have melted ice cream sandwiches. That was the wrong thing to say.
Yeah, Mike.
And anybody in that situation, you should probably not say that because that got the dark look. However, we got home a couple minutes later. I rushed. I don't even remember turning the car off. I think I might have coasted into the driveway, still in drive, jumped out, rolled.
You're treating
and threw them into the freezer.
Okay, the ice cream sandwiches are a human heart, and you are the helicopter pilot who's taking it to get it to make sure that.
Well, Darren, there's a time limit at which point they become useless.
I know.
Let's remember that the Kroger near us, the one that is the focus of most of Kroger stories,
right?
They're not the best at stocking Blue Bunny ice cream bars. The one that I came from is.
Okay.
Which means if I want them again, I have to go back to that Kroger.
To the marketplace.
That's a whole 5 minutes away.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
No.
So, yeah, the opened ice cream sandwiches, I run in, full run. I ran over Boo-Bah. I can't. I want to believe I didn't kick her out of the way. I think I just ran past her. I threw those into the freezer. I grabbed the other box and put them in the downstairs freezer because I hide them. They know they already opened one of them, so now I've got a stash.
Perhaps you should start keeping a cooler and dry ice in your car for such an occasion. For when you buy ice cream, then you just put it in there. Then someone can be dead on the interstate.
Yeah.
And you'll be just fine because at least your ice cream's okay.
Here's the thing.
Yeah?
If you're concerned about the kids eating, I still don't see why they can't just eat the hamburger buns.
If it's just a matter of because carbs,
It's pure survival.
carbs.
Pure survival.
Yeah.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
And I'm not proud of this.
Right.
There was a moment when all three of them were taking bites of the ice cream sandwich.
Uh-huh.
I briefly thought about slamming on the brakes so their face would go in this. Go in it. And they would get ice cream all over their face.
Yeah,
And I would say,
yeah.
a bun, that wouldn't have been a problem.
No. A hamburger bun would not have spread all over their face.
That's right. Hey, I'm Mike.
And I'm Darren. I hear a lot of people say that they just can't get into podcasts.
And that's why we created Irritable Dad Syndrome.
Yeah, on this podcast, we never go political. We don't discuss controversial issues or tell people how to think.
We're just a couple of guys who talk about all the fun, wacky, and sometimes annoying people we run into on a weekly basis.
So check us out. You'll be glad you did.
Irritable Dad Syndrome, the podcast for people who just can't get into podcasts. Available everywhere.
Irritable Dad Syndrome.
Holy we got that on the first try.
I think that was pretty good.